It's time to talk about the next story in the Robert Aickman collection, Cold Hand in Mine, and this is The Same Dog. This is another personal favorite of mine in this collection, and that's because the ending is a gut punch. It's a total gut punch. I adored it so much. In the story, we meet Hilary and Mary. They are on summer break, they are spending time in southern Surrey, and they are wandering the landscape, making these maps of not only the actual landscape, but an imagined landscape as well. They're very much caught up in the throes of an innocent childhood. Then one day they stumble upon a mysterious sort of estate or compound. It's walled, and the walls are sort of a sickly yellow. And they encounter a dog who is the same color and has a sort of strange intellect to it. Mary seems completely fascinated by it. In fact, a sort of change comes over her after she sees this dog. Eventually, Hilary does manage to get Mary to run away, and as they're getting out of there, he turns his head and glimpses something strange. Things get even stranger when the next day something happens that I don't want to spill, but it deeply affects Hilary. Hilary, who has been described as a sensitive soul throughout the story, ends up joining the army. And after he comes back with one of his army buds, he starts to go into the story about what happened back in the day. So he and this army friend visit the spot again. It's very much changed, but there is a house where the estate used to be, and then gut punch. One of the things that's really interesting about this is the subtext you could get out of it, because it feels very much like Hilary and Mary are in this sort of innocent childhood stage, and this dog, who may not just be a dog, I don't know, you could talk about it in various different ways, but Mary is enraptured by it. And I think, one of the things that I've noticed that's really interesting is the way that Aickman sort of deals with sexuality in his work. I ended up editing it out, but in the last story in particular, there is a really interesting moment where the narrator is kind of enthralled by this young 18-year-old man who works at the hospice. There are other moments like that too, of men who are described as sensitive souls or mama's boys or whatever have you. Like, it feels kind of coded in a way that, you might start to think, oh, is Robert Aickman somehow queer? Was he? Did he, even identify as that? I don't know if that's the case. I've done a little more research, and certainly the afterword in this book is very illuminating in a lot of interesting ways about what sort of person Aickman was. I think maybe it's better to say that sexuality was something he grappled with in his work. Whether he grappled with that as a person and what form that took, we don't know. We're not going to know. A lot of that would just be speculation. But it is an interesting thread to look at here, because Hilary is basically left behind in this story as he encounters this world that's walled off to him. And Mary, we get a sense that she was either welcomed into that world or became a victim of it. And I think that you could really take a look at this as a story of sexuality and blooming sexuality, adulthood, the passage of innocence. And in a way, Hilary is never able to make that crossing for whatever reason. And I really think it becomes a fascinating subtext to what already is a great little gut punch of a strange story.